Hello, welcome one, welcome all to the Dukes of Gaming. It's going to be a weird and silly one tonight. I'm joined, as always, by my illustrious fellow Dukes. We've got the Duke of Rocket League. How are you?
Hey, good. My rank's slipping, so I don't know how long I can hold that title.
It's all downhill from here, my man.
It is, man.
You are in a lovely new room, though.
You are.
I am. We moved. I moved. I got a little buddy with me right here on the couch representing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't been gaming much the past few days except on my Switch with the kids, but ready to get back into it coming this week. Excellent. I got enough space for a VR. This is my VR room too. I have
it looks spacious.
It's like it's 20 by 20 something by like 15. So
geez,
great for the Quest. Yeah,
that's perfect. That is some meaty play space.
Heck yeah.
Well, excellent. That's good stuff. We've also got the Duke of Education. How are you doing?
Me. I'm doing great. You forgot to say, first and foremost. I'm a little disrespected by that.
No, that's not me. That's not. No. None of that second foremost.
Hey, I will say that I'm very impressed by the enthusiasm on display here, though.
I'm all charged up. It's going to be a good show tonight.
I see.
Well, let me ask you this, Ben. Have you been getting any sleep?
I've been getting some sleep, yes. Last night was rough, but Cole's referring, of course, to the fact that I just had a new baby. I also have a new job that I started this past week. As you guys know, I was formerly at Bungie. I was a narrative designer on Destiny 2, and I said goodbye to the awesome team there to join the team at Cloud Chamber working on the new entry in the BioShock series. BioShock is like one of my favorite series of all time. You guys know this about me. So yeah, I'm going to be jamming away on BioShock. So I got to perfect this spiel over time. The spiel will get better over time. But I am a 2K Games employee and all that stuff. But my opinions about video games on this podcast are my own and do not represent my company. But I'll probably be butting out for anything that would have some inherent conflict of interest, which we've.
And also, don't ask him about BioShock.
Don't ask me about
BioShock. Will
BioShock.
not tell you at all.
Don't unless you ask me, do I like working on it, and then I will answer, probably yes.
or you could ask if it's going to be a masterpiece, and you're going to say probably yes.
Don't ask too much.
Don't ask that. Dangerous territory.
Yeah, we're already wading into dangerous territory. Here we are at the top of the show. All right. Well, we are, like I said, we are the Dukes of Gaming. You can check us out every week on Twitch, where we stream live like we are doing right now. Unless you're listening to us recorded on various podcast services or on YouTube, that's also an option. So please like, subscribe, leave us comments, all this good stuff that helps us grow the show. We want to reach an audience here. We want to find more people who would like to hear our silly voices talk about silly things. Mm-hmm. But here we are. Let's reach through the annals of time and pluck the age-old gamer question. What are you playing this week? Alfredo, the Duke of Education.
Me first. I'm honored, honestly. I'm playing two very, very, very different games. So the first one that I want to talk about is a game that I actually started playing on stream, and I have since finished the game. So it's a little game called Moonscars. Weird name, good game. So this is one of the latest games that have come out for Xbox Game Pass, and it's basically Dark Souls and a Metroid game wrapped into one. So it's a Metroidvania. You're getting all these different powers. You're progressing through the levels. You are trying to find out where the heck in this 2D map to go. It's all of that, but with a Dark Souls flair. It is definitely. It is a Moonscars or Moonscars. I think it's Moonscars. I think
it's not Moonscars. Okay. All right. Could
take
have
your
been
pick.
Moonscars, but
take your pick. Take your pick.
That's one of the coolest names I've heard in a long time.
Oh, really? I think it's a dumb name, but
I think it's actually incredible.
Well,
I like the name.
Hey, here's what I'll say, guys. This game is a good game.
Oh,
Really, really good.
All right.
And it's a good game because you guys know how much I like difficult games. This game strikes a really, really good balance between too hard and pleasurable. It's like that sweet middle spot. It's the perfect game for me. So I finished this game already. The bosses aren't too hard. It's nothing too crazy. Every now and then you will get a Dark Souls moment though, where you'll be like, okay, that was really cheap. Like you use your dash and then suddenly, oh, you run into spikes or you fall off into oblivion. But those are very, very few and far between. What makes this game shine though is the combat system. The combat system is incredibly good. It is precise. It's not floaty. It's like it feels good. The controls are very, very tight. And there are so many options that are given to you. So basically you have your basic attack, you have a awesome dash mechanic, an awesome parry mechanic. Both of them are implemented beautifully. You also have a story to this game. Now, I will say the story of this game is not the bright side. It looks like they're doing a little bit too much where they want it to be very Elden Ring, very Dark Souls with, having a cryptic story and what's going on and things come together at the end. It's enough to be serviceable, but the combat is really where this game shines. I'll also say that this game is really unique because, like I said, it's a blend between Dark Souls and Metroidvania. Now, there are some areas where they could do better because with the Metroidvania-ness of it, you would think that, oh, okay, I defeat a boss, I get an upgrade, right? Something like that. And it's a little bit lacking there. There's only really one upgrade after you defeat a boss. There's one upgrade that you get that's an actual power. Like you're able to super dash. You don't really get anything else that is cool from a boss. You're not able to like all of a sudden double jump or, have this extra new power. Other than that, it's really just, okay, you defeated a boss, you get a key to let you go to the next area.
And you don't
Kinda
find new powers from other sources?
No, which is what sucks about this game.
So they're really leaning on the combat as kind of that
They are. They
friction.
really are. But they give you powers through a skill tree. Okay. So it's classically, okay, every enemy that you defeat, this is where the Dark Souls part comes in. Every enemy that you defeat, you gain souls essentially, right? That you can spend at quote unquote a bonfire, their version of a bonfire, which is like a black mirror. And they have an incredibly extensive skill tree. But the skill tree isn't for like, increasing your damage, like increase your health. The skill tree is more for, we have all of these different witch powers basically that you can equip. You can equip 2 different witch powers and they have so many different things that you can pick from. So you can go from like an AoE attack to like a magical ranged attack or like a heat seeking spell basically. Basically that's what they do for this skill tree. If you want like extra health or extra mana, basically, that's where you have to look around the map for it, basically. So if you do all the extra stuff to try to find all the secrets, try to uncover all the different parts of the map, you might, do this extra mini boss fight to get some more health, like a permanent health increase, permanent damage increase. You have to like explore the map in order to get those sort of things. They definitely, and in that I will say that in the beginning, the kind of choices in combat are a little bit overwhelming. It got to a point where it's like, wow, you are throwing a ton of stuff at me. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Right. Every button does something new, and it's a little bit overwhelming. But the more that you play it, it starts to feel really, really good. Like you start to get into the flow of your options, and I really like how they offered you such variety in what you can do with your attacks to make it different than a Dark Souls or whatever. Because at least with Dark Souls, you got, even though you have different swords and different equipment, you're just mashing a button at the end of the day and you have one dodge roll. They really give you different options here, which I really, really like. So all that said,
I'm looking at some gameplay here and
game.
Yeah, you're right. The upgrade tree is extensive and it is, and man, they're leaning hard into that hard to dark in the dark fantasy. but the animations are really satisfying in a way. They almost look rotoscoped. I don't know if
This looks a lot like Dead Cells.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And even the
very-
movement looks identical, and the dash mechanism, everything, it looks very, very, very similar. That's why I'm surprised you don't like Dead Cells. This is very
Well, I mean, I like Dead
Close.
Cells, but Dead Cells is a little too easy for me.
yeah.
I like a harder game, and this one is a harder game. Now, some things I didn't mention though, this game is harder, but it has like kind of like an extra hard mode. So basically what they do is when you die, you activate extra hard mode. So not only like in Dark Souls is you have to go try to gain all the souls that or the currency that you collected, but now it's going to be 10 times harder to do so because it activates what's called a blood moon. And with the blood moon, enemies have more health, they hit harder. It's like really, really hard. But there's a way that you can get rid of that blood moon, that extra difficulty, by sacrificing like this other currency that they give you a whole lot of. So if you want that harder challenge, you can just leave on the extra hard blood moon. If not, you can just get rid of it. But yeah,
Nice.
this game is awesome. I loved
Yep.
it. I finished the game. Bosses are great. Enemy variety also very, very good. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this game.
One more point on Moonscars. What platform did you play on?
I started playing on PC and then I moved to my Xbox.
Okay.
So it feels real good with the unlocked FPS, and then I dropped down to basically 60 when I moved to my Xbox.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Good game. But on the opposite spectrum, I've also been playing another game called Beacon Pines, which is a very, very cute, well, kind of, a very, very cutesy looking PC game. Also came to Xbox. So this is a visual novel involving these cute little animals. You're a fox, and the story is that you're playing through an adventure game, visual novel. You have access to like control where the characters go, but you're basically reading a storybook, and you're playing as both the reader and the actual characters inside of the book. And what you're doing is that you are making actual choices in the game. So basically, it's this. The best thing I could compare it to is something like Oxenfree, if you guys ever played that, where it's just this visual novel-esque game where you're controlling the characters, looking at some stuff, and then some shit happens, or like something you weren't expecting. Oh, suddenly it's about this. There's a mystery afoot, and it's darker than you expected. And
there's more than meets the eye.
Yeah, there's more to this game than meets the eye. It's more than just cute animals. It's this some stuff is happening, but you don't know exactly why it's happening, and you get to figure out what's happening along the way. And I guess how this game differentiates itself from things like Oxenfree is that it has a choice-based system where you can change the story based off of your choices, essentially. Sure. So you're on one path, you choose to do one move, it might end up in a game over, or it might lead to a different path. And basically what you do to the game is you use this to find out different information, and then you can time travel back to another branching path. You're basically hopping through alternate realities, different pages of the book, essentially, and different realities, different choices to uncover more information, and then use that information to figure out to get past another part that you might have been stuck at. It's kind of like time traveling, kind of.
Yeah. It's a little bit of like the conceit of what was it? The Zero Escape games, although those games are like mostly actually linear.
For sure.
And it sounds like this one kind of delivers on that promise a bit.
I will say that is where the game is weak. It's exactly like you said, Ben. This is very similar to the Zero Escape games in that it presents itself in choices matter, choice based, but at the end of the day, you need to go down this one path to go to another path. You have a little bit more flexibility here where, okay, you can start here, but you might reach a dead end that you can't pass without going to another alternate reality and finding information there. So although essentially in that aspect, because you do have to hit every single story path, it's linear in that way, and it's more visual novelty that way. but the story is very good. It's very intriguing. It's very good. The mystery, I'm thinking about it right now, still going like, I wonder what's happening here. Like this thing happened. I don't know why it happened, but it's very, very intriguing. If you like stories like Oxenfree or things even like Stranger Things, this game is basically Stranger Things and Oxenfree mash into one with cutesy animals. But very, very, very good story. I would highly recommend if you guys are into visual stories or visual novels or things like Stranger Things to pick it up. I believe it's pretty short too. I haven't finished it yet. It's about 5 hours from what I've seen. I'm still in only about 2 hours in, somewhere around there. But I'm very excited for when I can actually go and complete this mystery, find out what happens, all of that. Highly recommend.
Nice. Yeah. It's interesting how these games that really like surface the multiversal or timeline jumpy element into a mechanic end up being linear. And the games that really do allow you to branch, you experience them in a linear fashion because they don't call attention to the fact that you're branching. So you just go down a branch and you're there, and you would only know that after the fact or from talking to somebody else who played it in a game like, I don't know, like Detroit. I guess the Quantic Dream games still kind of like surface the branching, but they don't let you make different choices until you go back and reload a prior save.
Right, yeah. This game definitely isn't the Dark Pictures or Quantic Dreams games. This game is more along the lines of Oxenfree, stuff like that. But it's still very, very good, very intriguing.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Cole, aside from Rocket League, aside from slipping down the ranks, day by day, week by week, your skills decay.
I'm embarrassed. It's embarrassing. I can't even talk about it.
You got to change your name at this point. It's just a disgrace.
Disgraceful.
I got a name change coming up. I don't know when my name change is coming, but it's coming.
Eventually.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Someday it'll come, I'm sure.
Once you hit the bottom rung, then you'll be forced to change it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Psyonix will call you up and be like, all right, man, it's done.
we don't want this blasphemy.
Yeah.
I know. Gosh, it's so bad. Anyway, I have been playing. So the games I've already talked about, Jurassic World. I've been playing games with my kids because I've been unpacking. I haven't even I plugged my PlayStation into my PC monitor just to test my internet down here, test my Cat 5 cables, and actually I don't know if this is bad, like a bad dad move or not, but I let them play Goat Simulator.
That's family friendly.
It's got some. One of my kids filmed like this for the violence of like the car hitting the goat is just a little like my wife walks in and she's like, okay, but they think it's so funny.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right.
They're five and almost 4. But anyway, and then there's they filmed one area. It's like a circle in the ground, and there's a bunch of blood stains all on
the ritual.
Oh,
yeah. And I was like,
I need to play this game. Apparently,
so then that's when I got him off of it. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. This is ridiculous. And then I should have known that like about the last time I let them play, that one of them ventured into the woods and found like this crevice in a little mountain and went to this dark area with these mythical like scary shadow creatures walking around. Do y'all know about this?
No.
I've played the game like and let them watch me. I've played like probably 5 or 6 hours worth of this game, and I've never found it. And they came in and they were telling me, and I thought they had glitched something, and apparently it was like a real area. Anyway, I don't know. I probably shouldn't let them play that anymore. But anyway, that's the most action on PS5's gotten in like 4 weeks. But in Jurassic World, I have that on PS5, and I plugged that in and let them play. But Astro Bot, they played that some today. So Kirby Star Allies, they loved Kirby in the Forgotten Land, and they both beat it, which I was very proud of them. My 3.5-year-old beat that game, and which is pretty incredible. Like, I mean, I played the end, and like, you have to kind of know, like, it's not just a walkthrough. You have to be able to dodge and see the attacks coming, which is very easy, but like, for a 3.5-year-old, it was pretty. I was very impressed.
Impressive, yeah.
Because he could dodge, and then he could land his attacks. He could solve puzzles, figure it out. I told
Wait, his
like I was
hands
telling,
can fit the entire controller. That's what I'm amazed about. At 4
well,
years old.
the Switch is
controller,
tiny.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Still,
Yeah, and he usually plays in handheld mode, so he's got the little small joysticks and stuff.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, he can't. I mean, they can't read. Like they can't really read yet, so it's really impressive. But that game is great. If you have kids, it is a phenomenal game. Like 10 out of 10 game for a child. And honestly, I enjoyed it too. But so I told them that this was the sequel, which it's not, but they got all hyped up on the new Kirby game. This came out like 2 years ago. We bought it and they've been playing it, and it's actually like you kind of see these gimmicks and stuff in games. And you're like, why are they doing that? Like, why is Nintendo doing that? It doesn't really make sense. But then when you watch like a child play it, you're like, dang, okay, they're geniuses, kind of like. So my kids were playing it. So Kirby Star Allies is all about you can befriend the enemies and create your own crew. So like you go through the level, like pretty much anybody can be enchanted and be on your team. You can have a team of 4, Kirby plus 3 others.
Oh, they Undertaled it. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So when you go through, so you have your little crew following you, and they attack with you and everything. But my kids all the time were getting so excited because they were like, "Dad, we're making new friends," and it was like really cute. They're like, they would just throw this little heart at the enemy and like, "Oh, I got some friends. Look at all my friends." And I was like, they're at the age now where I get really proud of them and they make friends, and like you're really proud to see them socializing with other kids. So anyway, I was just like, oh, that's awesome. Like they're in here just making friends with people.
Yeah, they're almost ready for Pokemon.
I know. I'm getting ready for that. But it's a good little game. It's a 2D side scroller, and it's really easy. But they're liking it, just as much as the what was it? Forbidden West.
Forbidden Land.
Forgotten Land. Yeah. So that's what we've been playing. And it's good. I recommend it if you have kids. If you don't have kids, I don't recommend it. It was $60. It's been out for 2 years. Go figure, Nintendo.
Yep. Classic Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Very nice. Well, I'm the last one of us. So I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West more at a snail's pace, like I said. I'm playing with my wife.
Not as slow as me.
Yeah. Yep. We're chipping away at it here and there. We're really trying to mainline the main story, but I kind of hit like a level gate. It's Beatles in the chat asks if it's only on PS5. No, it is also on PS4. Mm-hmm. So I'm chipping away at it, and we hit like a level gate in the main story, so we had to level up a bit in order to actually continue on with the main story. So I started doing some of the side quests, and there was this one that was just really frustrating the hell out of me, where it was this, I was like trying to clear a way for these people who were in this flooded town, and there was this crane that I had to like move into position so that they could get off of the mountain that they were stranded on.
A crane?
Yeah.
In Forbidden West?
Yeah, like a massive like a construction crane.
I didn't know they had that in the prehistoric times. I guess it's not prehistoric; it's futuristic.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean,
right? Exactly. It's the ruin of a crane.
Right.
So I, man, it's just kind of like a microcosm of my experience with this game as a whole, and it's actually giving me a bit more of an appreciation for Breath of the Wild, because this game is adding more of those elements that Breath of the Wild had. Like, you can climb on most things, but there's a caveat there because it's all contextual, right? You can climb where the handholds are. You can glide around, but the fact that you can't climb everywhere means that the gliding is a lot less valuable. So it's like, it's just, for the sake of the fidelity, the visual fidelity of the experience, it seems like there's just a lack of real ability to like problem solve for yourself and create emergent solutions to things. So I'm
interesting
interacting with this crane, and I'm like, okay, I see the thing that I need to do in order to drop the crane. Like there's this thing at the very top of the crane that I scan it with my focus, and it's like, if you shoot it, then it's gonna like it's weak to projectiles or whatever. So I'm shooting it. I'm jumping up around to to the other side of the mountain and still shooting it, and like just trying to open it up and like trying to do one of the other interactable things. But this puzzle requires a strict first you do this, then you do this, then you do this, to the point where like I shot this thing like 20 times, and then I did the things in the order that it required me to, and the first time I shot it opened up. So it's just this level of
linearity,
gamey. Yeah, it's like the game is like presenting itself to I don't know, in too obtuse a way where it's pulling me out of the experience. So yeah, anyway, there's a lot of things that I'm really, really enjoying about it. For one, just the pure fidelity of the experience it's fantastic, and how good all of the side interactions with side characters look.
Oh my God,
it's
yes.
absurd. It's absurd. I was listening to a interview with the design director for the game, and I can't remember what his name is. But he said like they basically held themselves to the standard that like every NPC interaction is going to be handled at full quality, as if it's the most important NPC interaction, which is just, you can tell.
And it feels that way.
Yeah,
it honestly feels that way because I'm with you. I also have not finished this game, even though I started playing it in January or February. Disgraceful. Anyway, I feel the same way with the side quests. I feel like this is probably the best game that has the best side quests ever, like even surpassing something like The Witcher 3. It's just every time I try to do a side quest, it just ropes me in with like the plot of it. Yep. It's like they do short stories right. Like, it's never too long. It's interesting enough to be like, oh, this is really cool, what's happening, and then it gets resolved. They never like drag it out just for the sake of adding additional content. Is like meaningful stories, sort of.
Yeah.
The Witcher, though, for some reason, it felt so special. I don't know why. Maybe because it was the first time that I've experienced side stories being that good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's still, like, thinking back on it, for whatever reason, it felt like you uncovered, like, a random NPC, and it just felt like this small thing unfolded into much bigger things. It was, I don't know. And I felt like with Horizon, it just felt like everything was I don't know. I didn't have the special. I didn't think it was as special as Witcher. What did you think? What do you think about that, Ben?
I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint, what makes something special or not. But I will say that the Witcher 3 follows the format very faithfully, the format of the original, short stories, where you read like the first novel, which is just a compilation of short stories, and it reads like a bunch of Witcher 3 side quests. There's this kind of arc to the side quest where it's like something is this seemingly simple request or on its face a not simple request, and then like Geralt has to do his kind of detective work and pulling out the thread and uncovering some bit of folklore in the process, and there's this kind of formula that was established with the books that the game follows quite closely, and I think it is to great effect in The Witcher 3. I think they really feel like episodes in a larger overarching story. Whereas, I feel like Horizon's approach is just maybe a bit less formulaic, but at the same time, there's not as
grandiose.
Yeah, there's not as reliable an arc to each of these events, right?
Yeah.
And
I kind of like that. I like that it's self-contained and not drawn out. Versus The Witcher, like you said, it might be a simple request on its face, and then it turns into this whole odyssey, basically, where you have to do, oh, now here's this quest, then this quest, and it becomes sometimes never-ending. Yeah. I like that Horizon is confident in itself, in its short storytelling, that it's like, okay, we can tell this simple story by itself and then resolve it, and then you can go back to the actual overarching quest. I like that.
I appreciate that too. The gameplay itself in some of these instances just really feels like it's getting in the way for me, though I will say I had some of these experiences on Witcher 3 as well, where I was like, it's just like you need this certain specific thing that is just not, not as obvious as the other things that come later in the sequence, and the fact that you can't do, the fact that you're not doing the thing in sequence means that you can't solve the problem the way that you see fit, because
Which
it has
Breath
to
of
be
the
done
Wild's
procedurally.
Breath of the Wild's like the only game that really allows you to really do that. Like, I don't know of any other game. Even Red Dead. Remember Red Dead? There's a lot of criticism with RDR2 about you would try to solve it certain ways, and you would have to restart the mission.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's even more egregious, where it's like you just can't.
You can't run ahead of your friend,
Yeah, exactly. Right.
like 20 yards. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these games are all on a spectrum, kind of how much do you want to encourage player tampering with the intended experience, versus like giving a really solid, fleshed out, and robust intended experience. So
well, the question is, Ben, did you actually finish Witcher 3?
I did, yes.
Okay,
I did.
Good. Good indication for Horizon then.
Yeah, I did fall off it for a while though, and then I came back like a year or two later.
Same thing.
Same.
Yeah. Wonder why that
Been
is.
there.
Yeah.
It's too big.
We'll have to explore that some other time. In the meantime, let's talk about some news. The big one for this week. Stadia is officially shutting down January 18th, 2023.
Surprising.
Can I tell y'all something? I'll tell y'all something funny that I did when this was announced. When Stadia was announced, for some reason, I don't know why, I should have been smarter. But looking back, I'm laughing at what I did. I
Did
texted.
you buy the extra deluxe version?
No, I almost did. Almost bought it all, but I didn't buy anything. But I did make a prediction to my buddy. I texted him. I just said something like, because I watched it and I was thinking about how Google, they have such a robust understanding of the internet, and they have all these servers, all this power. Like, I thought they were in perfect position to do this and pull it off. I really thought that. I thought they were in a better position to do this than PlayStation and Xbox and everybody. So after the presentation, when I saw that they were like buying their own studio, creating their own studios, they had Jade Raymond come out there and all this stuff. I buy into hype too, which you guys probably know by now. I get excited. So I text my buddy and I was like, so Google just won video games. I was like, it's over. I was like, the future of video games is Google. Like, this is it.
Flash cut to now.
Flash cut to now is shut down. Damn it. I should have known better. Because like y'all said, surprise, surprise, like Google's abandoning something else.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, Google's abandoning something else. First of all, did either of you play Stadia? Do you have much experience with it? What did you think of the service?
Yes, I did. I played it quite a bit.
I didn't. I stayed away from it for this exact reason.
So I played when it came to about a year ago, or maybe a little more than a year ago. They released, you could play it on iOS. Mm-hmm. Not as an app. I think it was a browser. Like, you would go, and it was really well done. You would go to like log into your Google Stadia or whatever, and it would load up. Your whole browser would be like that. It's like you're in an app, and you could play the games, and it was awesome. I mean, I took my iPad Pro with me, and my Xbox, or my, what did I use, the Xbox controller? I think it used the Xbox controller, or my PlayStation controller. One of the two I could use, and it was good. I didn't play first-person shooters. It was just like everything else, kind of laggy. But every other game I played, and it was a good experience.
Yeah.
They even didn't they have achievements on there or something?
Yeah. They had their own kind of ecosystem. I didn't play. Yeah, I didn't play much on Stadia, but I did. I mean, we used it at Bungie for testing builds of the game. So that we'd like upload test builds to Stadia, and then you can play the test build without having to download a 100 gig package every morning, which it was. I can't say how awesome that was for. I mean,
it sounds
test workflow.
Amazing.
It was fantastic to just be able to stream the test build. It's really, really good for workflow.
Oh, go ahead.
It's a shame on that front because it really was a very powerful developer tool.
I mean, my question is why didn't they pivot when they saw that the customer sentiment was that, okay, nobody's really using this. Nobody really likes it. Even with them coming out and saying, oh, like you don't actually own these games. Like we're giving you you're buying the license essentially to play this game. Okay, but then what happens if Google's state servers get shut down? Like, can we have
Wait,
access to it? Any of that? They didn't answer those questions in the first place.
So you're talking about the guy who put like 6,000 hours into Red Dead 2 and he lost his entire character and everybody's like begging Rockstar to transfer it for him?
Yeah, I mean things like that, just basic questions of they haven't clearly fleshed this out, and players obviously aren't flocking to your server. But at the same time, you have such a robust system that is good for people like that, developers who can use this and have a massive advantage of not having to do all this extra work to cut down on development time. If that's the case, why don't you pull the same thing that happened with what was it? Was it Google Glasses? What do you guys know what I'm talking about? The AR glasses, where it was supposed to come out for consumers, it didn't do well enough, and then they were like, "Oh, okay, we'll pivot and make this like for actual developers, like people's jobs." And now people are using that technology exclusively for building cars and mechanics and stuff like that. Like, why couldn't they have done that here?
Yeah, you have to wonder.
Just abandoning it.
I feel like it has something to do with the intrinsic cost of hosting all of that data and allowing it to be accessible easily. It almost has to have some sort of consumer model to it in order to justify its existence. Because I don't know. I kind of agree with you that its best instantiation, certainly in my uses of it, was as a dev tool, but. I mean, could this model as it was presented have worked? I can tell you that I have the sense that it could have if they had had a bit more faith in it and if they had had a bit more patience with it. There's this TechCrunch article that I was reading earlier. The title of it I think sums it up pretty well, that Stadia died because no one trusts Google to keep especially to keep something like this afloat. And here it is, Google proving them right. Google has killed so many nascent and good ideas that people liked in their crib. And in some way, it's what allows them to stay agile and investing in new things without this sunk cost fallacy conundrum of oh man, we've put so much money into it, now we have to put more money into it, and it. But at the same time, man, they sunk a lot of marketing dollars, especially when this thing first booted up.
Yeah, and that's the thing, when they first
everything
they did it right out the gate, but they didn't follow through with it. They didn't keep pushing it, because none of my friends knew what Google Stadia was that aren't gamers. No one knew no one ever knew what it was, except that one tweet that I texted my buddy and I told him they won video games and like.
But to be fair, they did have when it was first starting, like you said, they had commercials and stuff like that.
But it wasn't.
I remember seeing it.
It wasn't in Walmart. It wasn't in Target. It wasn't in Best Buy. Like, what if they had really pitched this thing as Google's next? Even if they sold the dongle in a gamepad or something, I think that they really could, because we know that this is the future, right? It's just a matter. They're a little too early now, but streaming video games is the future. Like, that's just where it's going to be. Whether it's 6-7 years from now, 10 years, whatever, 5. This is the future for sure. Because it's the future with all digital media.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I would say give us 10, 15-ish years. But at the end of the day, it comes back to Google not placing faith in its product. Why did you guys have a conference showing us, we're even having these internal studios that we created? Jade Raymond, who is very, well known in the gaming industry. She's the head of this new development studio that we're building as a first party studio, and then nothing comes from it.
Yeah, nothing came from it.
Like they put out these things that say, oh, here's some actual gameplay too from this new thing that we're developing, and it actually looked pretty good. I was intrigued by one of the games that they did show. I don't even know personally someone who is very into video games and on IGN, all of the different games media. I have no idea if that game ever released. I don't know if it's on their server. I don't know when the release date was. I don't know if you can play it now. They just made so many missteps in terms of games that giving gamers actual games that they can play rather than just being another way to play a game. They're not giving us actual games. So what are you doing here?
Yeah, I do feel like that was the biggest kind of misstep here because especially with a platform like Stadia that has no or very low upfront cost. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you could play with any gamepad, right? So
yeah, that's a killer. That's a killer feature right there.
Yeah, but the thing you need to get people into the ecosystem is a game that they really need to play.
Yep.
And that was the thing that never came to fruition. I mean, they talked about the studios that they were going to partner with, the exclusives they were going to get, and yes, then spinning up the internal kind of development studios and courting other developers. I mean, it was reported that Supermassive was working originally. The Quarry was a Stadia game that eventually got canned and then moved to a different publisher, and then it was reported, just we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but Hideo Kojima was working on a Stadia game that got the plug pulled too. You needed something like that to get people to try Stadia, something that they couldn't do natively elsewhere in order for them to start playing the other things. And it seems like they had their priorities backwards, where they were looking for the install base first before they justified putting out the software. But when has that ever been how it works in console gaming? It's
especially when you're new to the space.
Well, I actually think it could have worked in this situation because was Call of Duty playable on it? I don't think so.
I think it was, wasn't it?
Okay, well, if they had, let's just say they had Call of Duty, Madden, FIFA, like the NBA 2K, and Fortnite. I know Fortnite, well, I don't think it was playable in Stadia. Maybe it was. But why wouldn't their whole thing be like, you can't find PS5s, you can't find Xbox Series X's? It doesn't matter. You can play at that fidelity with a Stadia on the games you want to play. You want to play the new Call of Duty, the new Madden, FIFA, NBA 2K, whatever, Fortnite. Just go buy a controller and play it on your smart TV. That's all you need. But that never reached that message never reached the masses, and they couldn't convey that to the masses. The only people that knew about it were people like us, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. I think just a quick Google search has it says that Call of Duty was not on Stadia. And yeah, I think so. Yeah, actually, so the game I was thinking of was Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk started making that argument that you're making, Cole, because the best console-ish version of it was the PC version that you could play through Stadia. Mm-hmm. So when it was a total crapshoot on PS4 and Xbox One,
it sabotaged Stadia.
Yeah, it was quite playable on Stadia. The Stadia version looked really favorable compared to those. And
it still wasn't enough, though.
Is that what they hung all their hopes on? Was like Cyberpunk's going to come out, and then when it came out, to their detriment, it was this piece of crap or whatever. It was just bad.
It still played, like Ben was saying, it still played well on Stadia, but I feel like they didn't make that push to be like scream it from the top of the mountain. This game is playable.
Well, it's hard to because the game took such bad press, so it took the wind out of the sails.
There was this clear hesitancy from the jump where it's like there's no exclusive games on this thing. There's very few games on this thing. There's not this push to have everything on here.
Yeah, right? What? It launched with like 12 games or something like that, right?
The marketing was really strong at the beginning, and then it died off very quickly when people realized it wasn't, things weren't going well. The enthusiasm internally did not survive that initial wave of apathy.
Negative. Mm-hmm.
And that's what would have been required in order for them to push through, and it's strange to hear about things like them dropping the Quarry or them dropping this Kojima game when it's like, man, you had something that could have drawn people in, that could have gotten people to sign up for the service. You needed the exclusives, and that's where the ball kind of seems to have been dropped.
Right. And the other part that we haven't even touched on is the fact that, okay, it's shutting down. People were wondering what happens with their games and everything when that when it shuts down. The good news is that apparently everyone's getting their money back for all purchases that were made with Google Stadia,
Wow,
which is
that's
kind of
great.
insane. But also, that might be like 12 people.
There's someone out there that played a ton of games and spent like $3,000, and they're like getting a check right now from Google.
I will say there's a non-zero number of people that were playing Stadia regularly. I mean, it's at one point I saw a report that more people were playing Destiny 2 on Stadia than were playing Halo Infinite on Steam during around the launch of the Witch Queen, or it was over the summer or something like that. So yeah.
So I'm part of the Reddit. When it first was announced, I was like hyped about it. I joined the Reddit group, and every now and then I'd be scrolling through Reddit, and I'd see like, when you scroll through Reddit, you see like the communities that you're part of or whatever. There'd be a post, and everyone, the community was raving about it. Like they were always like, "This is a hidden gem," and they were just talking about how awesome it was, and hey, I can't believe I'm playing this game at this place,
right,
without
on my
console.
browser.
Yeah, on a browser. Also, I looked up Fortnite. So the reason Fortnite wasn't on there, Epic Games, because of that whole controversy.
Right.
Epic Games offered Fortnite for Stadia in exchange for free access to the Play Store, but Google denied it.
Of course.
They make so much money on the Play Store. I feel like that's the other part of this. That's the other part of this story that is we're not going to know the extent of until there's some sort of scoop on it. So Apple Arcade follows Google Stadia pretty quickly, and Google jumps on that idea with Play Pass. And I have to imagine, I don't know what the subscribership of Play Pass is, but I'm sure it is.
Dwindling.
No,
I'm sure it is way bigger. Play Pass is way bigger than Stadia is. I'm sure.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
And it's a lot more profitable. So I'm sure they're kind of looking at Apple Arcade's success and what they can do with Play Pass and thinking maybe our ticket to games is not in core gaming and is not in this market that we can't seem to break into with this pretty good tech. Maybe we should be focusing on our mobile phone offerings instead.
But they do have the Play Pass, like you're saying. The crazy thing is, like, I don't get how they expect to make these moves and literally come out and say, we're not going to abandon this project, then flash cut to today, they're abandoning it, and then they're going to come out maybe with something else and double down on Google Play and say the same thing. Oh, we're never going to abandon this, and then expect gamers to trust them again. When they keep doing this to all of their products, even the one they quote unquote believe in and appear like they're supporting. It's just insane.
Well, that's why when Apple's going to release their product, that is one thing you can say about Apple. They stick with their products usually. They don't release a product they're not going to stick with. That I can remember, So yeah, it's going to be very interesting when Apple actually releases a VR. Yes,
their VR tech that they're currently developing. Like, is Google gonna just suddenly try to jump into the VR market, try to get in there, and then eventually abandon it?
I don't think they can because I don't think the people don't trust Google. Like, if they announce something all the time. The Google Glass, like you said, and this they backed out on. So I think they're just
Google was in VR actually very early.
Google Daydream. They had Google Daydream.
Yeah, Daydream was the second iteration. Cardboard was the first one. The idea was Cardboard was like super easy accessible VR for the masses, where literally all you need is a piece of cardboard and a phone in order to have a VR experience. I tried Google Cardboard before I tried legit VR. I can't imagine a worse advocate for VR as tech because it is not good. And two, they gave up on that pretty quickly too with mobile VR. Eventually the Quest made mobile VR work, but Google was trying to approach it from like, hey, the thing that drives your VR experience is going to be a phone, and you're going to slot your phone into. Samsung was doing it too. You're going to slot your phone into a hardware-free, or rather a tech-free hardware case for your phone that you put on your face.
Nintendo did it too with the Switch.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true. The Google Daydream experience wasn't terrible if you had a high resolution phone, but Cardboard was pretty rough. They abandoned that one too. And so I'm not sure if they could be enticed to jump back into VR. But yeah, I mean, I think this this sentiment rings true, that it's like, why should I put my money into this thing that you don't really believe
That you're
in?
not putting money into.
Yeah, that you don't really believe in. And they did put a lot of money into it. I mean, it's a lot that they've pissed away here.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like they just didn't put enough money into the things that mattered, I guess, like game development. That should be like the number one thing on their docket list, and they were like, "Nah, let's put it to marketing, or who knows where. Maybe not even marketing."
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that traps a lot of these companies that try to make it into the game space, is just this fundamental lack of know-how for game creation, and like they
had Phil Harrison wasn't Phil Harrison the main guy on it?
Yeah.
Which led he was the head of PlayStation for like the PS3 days. Was that right? Or the PS2 to 3?
He was at PlayStation for a long time, but he was.
That's one of the reasons I was hyped about it too.
I think.
Yeah, and
PS3
Jade
days.
Raymond was supposed to be their head of Google Stadia when it first was announced, I believe, and then they switched when she left.
She was the head of the games itself, and then Phil Harrison, I think, was head of the whole division.
Mm-hmm.
So right, so I mean, like, there was know-how there, right? But it seems like there wasn't institutional support for what needed to be done there.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation after a fashion, and all we know for sure is that Stadia is dead. Long live Stadia.
Yeah. They did try. Well, apparently, let's touch a little bit on the fact that, supposedly, like Ben was alluding to earlier, they were partnering with other well-known game developers like Kojima Productions. Apparently, it's been reported that Google Stadia, did have a contract to exclusively have not the sequel, but a follow-up. So maybe like a spin-off for Death Stranding. And their reasoning, they ended up canning it, and it was canceled. And the reported reason is that it was an episodic style game that was canceled because it was too focused on being single player. So that's the speculative reason that's being given. And I mean, knowing what we do about Google, I could definitely see that. I could see how they automatically might think, oh, multiplayer, free-to-play games are the way to go. You want to do a single-player game? That's not really a thing. We've even seen people like EA. This used to be a huge reasoning behind EA. They didn't want to do any single-player games, right? They were only focused on multiplayer games because that's what made them money. And they canceled a whole bunch of projects, wouldn't even allow single-player games to be made under them for a very, very long time until, Fallen Order came about and proved them wrong. Things like that. So at this point, I feel like they tried, but at the same time, Google was looking for any reason to just cancel a game.
They should have just bought Sony and called it PlayStation, and then the game was over.
Google PlayStation.
Google PlayStation. Wow.
I mean, Kojima, I feel like, is one of the names that there's a certain number of people that would have played it on Stadia just to play it. I mean, I would have played it.
Absolutely.
Whatever the game was. It's unclear whether, this is referred to in the report by 9 to 5 Google as a Death Stranding follow-up, but it doesn't sound, an episodic horror game does not sound necessarily like a Death Stranding game, perhaps a spin-off. But it does not sound to be in the same vein as the original Death Stranding. So I'm not even convinced that it was a Death Stranding game so much as it was just Kojima's next game after Death Stranding.
With some connections to Death Stranding, possibly. Who knows?
Maybe.
We'll never know.
Right. However, it is strange that they didn't see enough there to keep going with it. And I don't know what they were. I mean, it's the reasoning again is like it's just very bizarre with the lack of multiplayer being a sticking point when you're just trying to build up a base of users.
Right.
It shouldn't matter whether there's multiplayer or not as long as people are actually using your service.
Right. Especially when you have a big name like Kojima attached to it. Like, how did they not understand that this would be huge if they did release it and
Right.
stuck with the exclusivity? Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, everything points to they themselves did not believe in Stadia, which
Yep.
it could have been different, but it will go down in the long list of Google projects that were abandoned just because.
Indeed.
A shame.
Now for a project that has not been abandoned. I don't know. Maybe for the better, for the worse. You can tell me, Alfredo. I don't play Overwatch.
Me neither.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of controversy here with Overwatch 2 and the rollout of classic characters for new players.
Yeah.
Alfredo, you wanna run us down the
Sure,
idea here?
sure. I'd be happy to. So, I love Overwatch. I played so many hours in this game. A free trial is actually what got me into the game with PlayStation, and then I immediately bought it because it was so good. It was like a year, maybe a year and a half after it actually released. Before then, I did not like any type of multiplayer game, but Overwatch was different because, it's what really started, I would say, the hero shooter kind of new genre or new wave of that anyway. But so some people are mad, some Overwatch people are mad because apparently, as we know, Overwatch 2 releases on Friday this week, at the end of this week, and they're going free to play. They see all the dollar signs, all the money that all these free to play games are
All that
making, like
Fortnite
Apex,
money.
all the Fortnite money, and they're leaning
Warzone
hard
money.
into it. And they want a piece of that pie. So they're going free to play. And what's going to happen is that essentially they're shutting down Overwatch 1 servers and then just merging it to be just Overwatch 2. That's what it's going to be from now on. But what they're saying is that instead of automatically having characters unlock, they are tying the character unlocks to, one, their battle pass. And pretty much that's it. So right out the gate, if you're a new player trying to play Overwatch 2, you will have even the original characters, I don't know how many there are, like 30, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Like every single original character, they're not going to be unlocked automatically. You have to earn them. So by playing the game, by purchasing the battle pass, stuff like that, you have to earn the characters. So the more and more you play this, and reports are stating around you might need 100 matches to unlock all of the original characters, just the original, not any of the new ones. Then you'll get the original characters. So it's just a very big step from, in the original, we had all of these characters unlocked. Now we actually have to grind and do some work to get this. And not only that, but I mentioned the battle pass. There are locking specific characters and new characters that all of these fans like me have been waiting for to the battle pass progression that they're rolling out. So if you purchase their battle pass, you're going to automatically unlock the new heroes that are supposed to, or that used to traditionally on this day, this new character is being rolled out to all Overwatch players. Okay. You don't have to work for it. You just get it because, it's a live service. That's no longer the case. You got to either essentially buy the character by buying the battle pass, or you have to play however many matches, like X amount of matches, we don't know yet because the game isn't out, in order to unlock every single new character and do the very slow battle pass, essentially. Yeah. So it's introducing this grind that was never introduced to Overwatch in the first place, and people are mad about it.
But the thing is, though, it's free, though. So, like, if they don't want the grind, they could just pay for the characters and unlock them. It just gives you a free path to do it.
It does, but the problem is, I don't know. For me personally, I do like free-to-play games. I dabbled in Fortnite, all of that, and I don't ever purchase the battle pass or anything like that. I think people are mad because, with Overwatch specifically, with Overwatch 2, there's an Overwatch 1. And they're changing everything about how we get the characters.
Overwatch 1 is going away in favor of Overwatch 2.
Exactly. And Overwatch 2 is saying, oh, okay, now you're used to automatically getting these characters. No more of that. You're like taking the candy away from the baby, essentially, and being like, oh, now you have to work for it. Now you have to actually pay us to do this when it was free. Now, there is a caveat. There's a hack that I'll let you guys know about. So limitation for the original characters is only for new players.
Right.
So if you were to, I don't know, buy Overwatch, which is like $10 from GameStop or like
Quickly
a
log
traditional
on
store.
once.
So then what are people mad
you can
about?
watch
That you just go buy the game and you have the characters.
Here's the problem, Cole. So this is like if you go out and find a copy, they only have on like the PlayStation Store and digitally everywhere, only the Super Deluxe edition basically is being sold, which is like for full price. So you either choose to buy the Super Deluxe edition to unlock all the characters, or you just have to start from ground zero. So little column A, little column B. People are mad. It's the internet.
I get the frustration, especially with the new model of rolling out new characters. However, when we're talking about that is for existing players, when we're talking about the new player experience, a revised new player experience, I know from my experience working on Destiny 2 that when you have a game that has so much history with it and so much you need to know as a new player, it's very difficult to understand exactly how best to parse out that information bit by bit in an understandable way to new players without overwhelming them. And to me, this seems like with a game like Overwatch, where it's really about learning the characters, right? It's about learning how to play the specific characters with their specific move sets in the context of an overall game, synergizing with other players who are playing other characters, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of learning to having all those characters. And so to have the full roster in front of you as a brand new player is like, that's total choice paralysis. I log into Overwatch for my first time and I'm like, what do I do? I pick this guy and I expect to do this thing, but I keep getting my ass kicked in this way. But like, what's going on here? Whereas if I have to play a couple matches and if there's 32 original characters and about 100 matches to unlock all 32 of those original characters, it's about a character every 3 games. So I have to play with a certain character a little bit, get comfortable with that person before I can move on to the next person. That seems like a pretty decent new player rollout to me. And I don't know that I, as a new player, am going to have any issue with getting acquainted with the characters I'm unlocking. I mean, like that's a faster clip than unlocking characters in Smash.
Well, I guess so. But here's my beef with it. Okay, say I get... Okay, first character who it's unlocked is a healer. Let's say it's Lucio. You guys have no idea who that is, probably. But let's say it's the roller skating dude. Okay, I don't really enjoy his gameplay, right? Now I'm forced to play the next, let's say, 3 matches, right, with him. And these matches aren't short, but these matches can last anywhere from as short as 5 minutes, I would say, to like 30-minute matches. Like, these are not your typical, your 5-minute matches every single time. They're long. So, okay, 30 minutes. Okay, next I got to unlock. Awesome. Right. Okay, now this new character I unlock, maybe it's Genji. I don't really like his gameplay either, but I'm forced to play 3 matches in here. And just on and on and on and on. Until you find the character that's right for you, essentially, that you actually like. It might be character number 30. Might be character number 1.
Yeah, but don't you already own these characters? You already own the game, so you're going to have them unlocked anyway.
But he's talking about the new player.
A new player.
Experience.
But a new player wouldn't know all these. Like, they're getting to know them as they...
Right, but they don't get the ability to, like in Overwatch 1, how they did it was, you can try out anyone you want. If you're not feeling this person's playstyle, immediately switch, even when you're in a match, to a new player.
So what do you start? Is only one selectable character in the very beginning?
It's a little unclear, but
it
might be like 1 or 2.
To counter what you were saying, Alfredo, with every new character you unlock, you're building out a roster. So if you don't like Genji and you're like 5 characters in, you can go back to one of the other 5 characters. You don't have to necessarily stay with him for those 3 matches. Right. At the same time, I would say, kind of to Cole's point earlier, if I'm a brand new player, I don't know after 1 match that I don't like Genji. All I know is that I don't understand how to play him. So I feel like that, like being invited to play a couple matches with each of these characters as you unlock them is still a better experience than having all of them available to you where you have to ad hoc try them out. because at least like with a paced kind of rollout like this, I know that I'm gonna have somebody new to play with in a couple matches, and it's not about whether I'm choosing the right person or not in the menu. It's about who's available to me next. Mm-hmm. So it's a controlled rollout where the developers get to choose a little bit more about who you experiment with next, rather than leaving it up to the player to decide when they have an ocean of choice to make.
So when Rocket League 2 comes out, and you start with one car, and every 3 matches you unlock a new car.
It's gonna be the standard. Hey, but I'll do you one better, guys. So people aren't only mad for this. I can see your point there, Ben. I can see your point. I'm still salty about it for the new players, okay? Even though it won't affect me, but I'm mad about it for them. But what the original fans of Overwatch are mad about is something else as well. So they're mad on behalf of the newer fans, but they're also mad for the fact
on
that
behalf of the newer fans.
Exactly. They're also mad.
I'm a new fan, and that sounds good to me.
They're personally angry though, because basically what Overwatch also is all over the news because it's coming out, right? They're doing some PR leaks and all of that. But reportedly, the head of Overwatch, the current director, I forget who it is since Jeff Kaplan left, but they basically said that they want to turn it more into Fortnite and introduce much more crossovers into Fortnite. And they didn't really... The problem is that they didn't really elaborate on that besides just saying that. So people are angry that it's just going to turn into a different Fortnite, in that you might have these characters now introduced, Batman for example, into
that
the
sounds
game
awesome.
that
Honestly,
don't make any sense.
It does sound incredible though, like Darth Vader and Batman and all these.
Well, the thing is,
Ghostbusters.
The real reason why people are mad, fans of the game, is because Overwatch really does have an incredible amount of lore associated to it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
if you guys have ever seen the shorts, like the short movies, like they're incredibly detailed. It's so cool. It honestly could be a movie in and of itself. And to just have the idea of, oh, now we're gonna have Batman in here, like what?
Yeah, I agree. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, so it's just a stream of Overwatch news that people are not really feeling, along with the idea that original characters are being locked, the new characters are being locked behind a battle pass, and people don't get to play them without outright giving more money every single time a new character is unlocked, instead of being given it for free, or grinding for hours and hours before they actually get that character themselves. It's just too many new changes at once, essentially.
I feel like what this is all about is really still this idea that nobody really wanted an Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
So there's this, there's these new approaches to ideas and problems that had been solved in a certain way in the original Overwatch, and they're trying to overhaul for a new experience and to open the door to new ideas. But nobody really wants that because no one wanted an Overwatch 2. Everyone just wanted the continuation of Overwatch. So this is a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of scenario, because this does mean that it's an invitation for new players to jump in at this point, right at the start of the new Overwatch experience. But yeah, it's a lot of change to thrust on an audience that's been with you from the beginning. Seeing the specific phrasing around John Spector is the guy you were referring to, Overwatch's commercial leader and vice president. When he's talking about crossovers, he's very careful here. I don't know that this is necessarily anything to worry about. He says that if and when we do a crossover, one of our key values is to do it in a way that feels great, like a great fit for the Overwatch franchise. So there are ways to do these kind of crossovers that still respect the IP. I mean, like for instance, the Destiny 2 Fortnite skins.
Yeah, you can just do a skin.
Yeah,
and not have a whole new character based around Batman, for example.
Yeah, and I mean, like sense. when we like I did the naming for those skins on Destiny 2, and when we were working on them, it was very important that they not be Fortnite. It's Destiny, it's Destiny. They're inspired by Fortnite, but it's Destiny stuff. It's stuff that would exist in the universe. So that was like it's not too hard to put those kind of guardrails up to guide the IP.
Right. The question is, do we trust them at this point?
Yeah. Well, that's up to you.
Again,
I don't play.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know, guys. I've been waiting for how long? I'm a healer main. We've been waiting for literal years for a new healer. And the first character they say, oh, here's a new healer. But also, it's locked behind this paywall. So have fun with that. It's just a slap in the face. But I'm over it. Now, will I be playing on Friday? You bet. I'm going to be playing this game. And I can't wait. But that doesn't mean I can't be salty about it. All I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. Good luck with the salt, Alfredo. Let us know how it goes next week. I'm a little salty. What the hell is PlayStation doing with all these remakes and remasters?
I don't like it.
What is the angle? What is the angle here?
I know the angle.
Money. So the report is that Horizon Zero Dawn, which came out in 2017, 5 years ago, barely 5 years ago, there's a remaster or remake in the works for Horizon Zero Dawn, the original, coming to PS5, which is also, and also rumored PS5 and PC multiplayer game in the Horizon universe.
Yay for that.
That seems pretty cool. So first on the multiplayer game. Multiplayer seems pretty interesting. What do you guys think about that?
Sounds awesome.
Yes.
Me and Alfredo were talking about this weeks ago.
Yep.
Like a Monster Hunter style game, co-op, maybe 4 players. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I've been raving about the Monster Hunter-esque nature of Forbidden West ever since I played it. Like, that is where the game's fun lives.
Yep,
it's just hunting the different monsters, figuring out what weapons you can use to take it down, identifying their weak parts, all of that. I've never had as much fun playing Monster Hunter than I have in Horizon Forbidden West, and I can't wait for that to be a thing in a year. I don't know. We'll find out.
Games as a service, Horizon would be. Could you imagine just like having four of the Dukes riding on our little machines out to like a cave to hunt this monster? It'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
It's gonna be a thing. Now we have confirmation.
Well, we don't yet know exactly what the nature of this thing is. What if this is not actually a fully new Horizon game, but a Ghost of Tsushima Legends-esque mode for Horizon Forbidden West?
Hey, that's fine. That's completely fine, because I can't say the name. The Ghost game was a great addition. I fully played that. I loved what they did. But honestly, I can't see them doing... The way they did Ghost was basically they had it available as an add-on, but eventually they did release it as a standalone game itself, because it did have a campaign mode that you could team up with friends and co-op, and then it also had like a survival wave. And I do feel like that would work really, really, really well for Horizon as well. Just pit you against a bunch of different monsters in a wave, like arena type, which they do have in Forbidden West, like a part of the story. So you can easily put it there. But also, like, give us that campaign mode where it is not Monster Hunter, but you just essentially doing Forbidden West stuff in co-op. Like, that's fine too. I feel like you can't go wrong, because Forbidden West is it's a great game. I haven't finished it, but it's a great game, and I feel like you can't go wrong just by slapping co-op on it.
Is this PlayStation's new approach with live service, where they're just going to take The Last of Us, they're going to take Horizon, they're going to take Ghost of Tsushima, and they're just going to make live services out of their existing single-player games just as much as they're going to make new live services?
No, I mean, that's awesome. It's a good idea. Take the franchise and spin off. It works great with Horizon. It'll work great with The Last of Us. What's the mode that you're looking forward to? Factions. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's smart.
Ghost. They obviously did it with that, and it's successful. What else they got?
Have we gone full circle where we're back in 2007, where everything needs to have a multiplayer mode, except now it's not in the same game. It's two separate games.
It's separate.
Yeah,
you got to double dip. You got to pay for it again. I mean, it kind of seems like it. And hey, I'm all for it as long as the multiplayer games are good. I feel like it
Right.
is better that they're separate, they're
Yeah.
treated as separate
Yep.
products, because then it's not a shoehorn into
Yeah.
the original game, right? In 2007, that's what we got, shoehorned, except for Uncharted. That was masterpiece. Uncharted 3 was terrible. Uncharted 2, well, beautiful. Everything else trash. Now they're treating it as an actual separate game, and now they actually have to give it like the amount of attention that it deserves if they want that standalone game to sell instead of it just being lumped in.
But this
So
also
I'm not
has to
mad about it.
mean this also has to mean, right? I mean, these developers only have so many resources that the gap in time before we see Guerrilla's next single player game is going to be even longer than it would have been, right?
Yeah. I mean, that is fair. I would imagine that they're pulling a Naughty Dog, or they're going to start doing it more like Naughty Dog is doing it, where they grow the teams to where they can have two separate teams instead of, just one team working on one game. They have two or three separate teams. Okay, you're focused on working for this main single player game. The other team is focused on working for the multiplayer game. Like, we're keeping them separate. Of course, in game development, obviously, there's some borrowing that happens, right? If you're trying to ship a game sooner, you might borrow from the one of the other team
Definitely.
to help
I mean,
make
it's
sure
what,
that one's
it's
shipped.
what happened with Factions.
Yeah.
They were working on it as a mode for The Last of Us 2, and they needed all hands on deck for the actual Last of Us 2.
Yeah, and I hate them for it still.
So yeah, Factions got deprioritized, but then it was allowed to kind of live on its own as a result.
Yeah. Now, is it efficient? I have no idea because I still haven't seen Factions at all.
Right, exactly.
So we'll see what actually happens here. And at the same time, Last of Us 1 came out 2 years ago? We haven't heard about their next project. We haven't seen what Factions looks like, which we know they're working on. So we're seeing the effects of what you're talking about, Ben. We haven't seen anything from the studio, but we know they're working on that, separate.
Well, I mean, they did
game.
just release The Last of Us Part 1, which some substantial part of the studio was working on it. And then some other substantial part of the studio was working on Factions at the same time. So then, yeah, I mean, like, when is the next single player Naughty Dog game going to come out? Presumably, they've been in pre-production. Yeah, right. Presumably, they've been in pre-production since, Last of Us 2 started winding down. But with most of the development resources put in these other kind of two piles, it does beg the question of, like, man, it's going to be another 5 years until we see another Naughty Dog single player game. On like from starting now, so 8 years after The Last of Us Part 2.
It's insane how long video game development is just starting to take.
It's getting prohibitive.
They're doing it themselves, guys. Don't give them a pass. Sorry, Ben. I know you're supposed to be sentimental, but screw them. They are remastering games that don't deserve it. Like, what are we doing? I mean, they're making money,
Okay.
but
Well, I mean, you brought it up, so we're getting
Sorry, I
back
was
to
mad.
the remaster part of Horizon Zero Dawn here, which we were talking about the multiplayer part, but yeah, the remaster part here, remaster or remake, we don't know. The report says it's one of the two. Could be a PlayStation 5 native port of Horizon Zero Dawn. That could make sense. The director's cut kind of branding that they're doing. They did this with Ghost of Tsushima. They did it with Death Stranding, to an extent. What other games did they have where they had the Uncharted collection, Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, where they brought the PS5 native ports over. So it could be something like that where it's a remaster.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, the rumor does not specify.
God, they're doing this for the games that no one wants. Everyone wants a Bloodborne remaster remake, and they just won't do it. No one is asking for a Horizon Zero Dawn remake remaster.
Just like Last of Us Part 1, nobody asked for that, but it's what we're getting, and it's what's selling.
Is it? So are sales numbers, have they been reported for The Last of Us Part 1?
I'm about to look it up right now to see if they're available. I don't think they let people know.
I think we'll find out soon when NPD posts.
Right, which is at the end of the month, which is right about now.
Yeah.
I did see the one thing that comes up is that Last of Us Part 1 only sold around half of last week's Saints Row. This was all the way back in September, the very, very beginning of September.
When Saints Row first came out.
Yes, and there are a couple of different articles already out saying that Last of Us Part 1 sales flounder. Stuff like that is popping up. We won't actually get the numbers, like you said, until NPD posts, but it seems like it didn't do super well. But I will say that it is doing better than, if they didn't do it at all.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. I mean, they sell 3 copies. There we go.
Right, they make their money back.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we said, nobody's asking for this. This game came out 5 years ago, which is more recent than The Last of Us.
Yep.
1 or their remaster came out, and I played this game, Horizon Zero Dawn, literally right before I played Forbidden West, the sequel, and it plays great. It plays fine. Obviously, it's not as great as Forbidden West, but it holds up just fine, and I don't see a reason why you'll go back and essentially update the controls or to where you can scale even more rocks just for the sake of it, just so you can charge that $70 price point that they like to charge.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I could
one
see
last
this
thing.
being. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I can see it. It makes sense because we all know that they're making a Horizon show. So they could time it with the release of that, which might mean mega numbers. And that's also where Part 1 might see a jump in sales again. It's pretty much guaranteed.
Yep.
So once that show releases, they'll get their $70 per copy for Part 1 when it comes out. Same thing for Horizon if they decide to go this route.
It's a good point. I was going to say, so I see 2 paths here where they do the remaster angle where it's got to be a little bit more involved of a remaster, I think, to justify the potential double dipping of the cost. If this was going to be just a free PS5 upgrade, that's one thing. But if they're going to charge for it, that's another thing. Ghost of Tsushima, I think, got away with it because it was bundled with it came out at the same time that the expansion did, the Iki Island expansion. So there was if I'm spending $30 on the expansion anyway, I might as well spend an extra $10 to get the PS5 upgrade or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. But with Horizon, if I'm looking at just playing the PS4 version again with 60 frames enhanced on PS5 because they came out with a free patch, or doing, the remaster, I feel like the remaster really has to justify itself. So I think maybe they port it to the updated version of Decima, so there's better lighting, there's better time of day effects, there's better whatever it is, shadows, that kind of stuff, where it's like it really makes the game pop again, and then they do a higher resolution modes, but then the game is still fundamentally untouched aside from that, or they do the full remake route, which if they're doing the full remake route, I expect this is going to be a little while until we see this game.
Yeah. Which do you think they're going to do, though? Everyone? I think they're going to go for the full remake. They're crazy. They'll do it.
I think if this game was a result of the kind of the stuff that that preceded The Last of Us Part 1 coming out, and it was like, all right, we're going to do The Last of Us Part 1, and we're going to remake Horizon as well. Like, if this was a kind of a decision that was made way back then, it's going to be a remake. But if it was something that was a little bit more recent, I think this is going to be the director's cut of Horizon Zero Dawn, and it's going to be a remaster and not a full remake.
Cole, what do you think?
I don't want to see this. Gosh, this is a waste.
Which one do you think is going to be, though, a full remaster or a director's cut situation?
No, I think it's going to be a director's cut. I think a remaster would just be 5 years. It's 5 years old. At least Last was Part 1. What they did they remake the? Did they remake the remaster, or did they remaster the remaster?
Great question.
I mean, did they remake the original, or did they remake the remaster? I don't know, but anyway. No, I don't want to see this. I think it's probably just going to be touched. I think it's going to be a remaster of 2017.
It's also interesting timing because I don't know if you guys heard, but it has leaked that Horizon Forbidden West is getting DLC as well. So it'll be interesting seeing, okay, they're doing some DLC that's going to be released, and then they're also possibly doing a remake or a remaster or whatever. And then they're also working on this multiplayer game. So they're busy doing stuff, which I'm not going to complain about because the game is good.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what lands, and we'll see what people are actually willing to shell out money for. But well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's it for us. Until next time, this has been the Dukes of Gaming. Please go check us out on our socials, which are linked down in the description, and you can listen to us every week live on Twitch or on YouTube, or you can check us out on Spotify or whatever other podcast services you enjoy. And it's been a pleasure speaking with both of you about video games. I hope to do it again very soon. And to all you listening, I bid thee farewell.